Welcome to part 1 of building the mostly second-hand home theatre PC, where I'll be running through the parts that I bought for this build. Whilst I can't force you to like, comment and subscribe, if you like this content then please do. You'll be signing up to some top-grade techie content. In part 2 of the video, I'll be covering the actual build, and future videos will cover cooling, performance and more.
Just look at this pile of tech. It's glorious. Today is a good day. Bear, why is my office light on? Are you wearing my cap?
I already have the display and I/O that I need to get this thing running. All I needed was to source the case and the components. I sourced my components based on the following criteria. 1. It had to be cheap. So, no top-end RTX series cards for me. 2. It had to be capable of 4K. It's a home theatre PC after all. 3. It had to be compact and easy on the eye. I am looking at you RGB fanboys out there when I say there will be no multicoloured lights sitting below my TV. And 4. Crucially, it had to be quiet. There's nothing like the revving of a fan to kill your cinematic experience. The cheap and second-hand idea went a bit out of the window. So originally I was going to build a lower spec PC, but my ego wouldn't let me build a PC that was a far lower spec than my laptop. So I'll admit, I did splurge, just a bit. Now, the first things I bought were the case and the power supply, the cornerstone of the system. I won a Fractal Design 202 from eBay, it's pretty good going, with a SilverStone SX600-G power supply for just over £90. The case is small, but it allows for a full-size graphics card with the nifty use of a PCI Express riser card. And the power supply has got plenty of power output, which gives me graphics card options, whilst also being rated 80 plus gold, with a quiet fan, and having noiseless operation below 45 degrees. Ah, perfect. Then you ruin the shot. It's a good idea to be a bit cautious of second-hand storage. We know that SSDs can slow down over time with heavy use, and not knowing the story of second-hand parts meant that I decided to go brand new, especially as buying second-hand would have only saved me a few pounds. Now, whilst I have a bit of a love affair with Samsung storage, in the name of cost reduction, I went for the Crucial MX 500 5GB instead. Still a massively capable drive, and for £50 it was around £10 to £15 cheaper than the 860 EVO Samsung equivalent, and it was for a very minimal loss in real world performance. To get this case cooling well, I wanted to max out its fan capacity and get them spinning at a low RPM. Now, due to some potential spacing issues with dual slot graphics cards and 25mm fans, I went for 2 slimline Noctua NFA 12x15s with PWM connectors to avoid choking the graphics card cooler. The CPU, motherboard and RAM is where things got a bit hairy. Now, originally I planned on a cheaper build, so I went out and I bought a mini ITX bundle with an ASRock H81M ITX motherboard, an i3 4170 and a frankly miserable 2GB of DDR3 RAM for £54. Now, after buying this bundle, I thought it might actually be nice to have the ability to play some reasonably modern games on this at 1080p, and 2 cores just wasn't going to cut it. So, in addition, I bought the best reasonably priced chip that I could find on the socket, an i5 4670K, and I paid £45. With patience, I probably could have found one for a little less, but for price performance, still not too bad a buy. I then replaced the woeful 2GB of RAM with a dual channel 16GB Crucial Ballistix Sport Kit for £59. A tad overkill in hindsight, but you know, nobody ever said, F it, I'll buy less RAM. You know how these things go. You get into a project and all logic goes out the window. Well, maybe not for you, but for me. You know, I thought, in such a small case, how am I going to make sure that this CPU stays cool? With a stock cooler, I could probably fry eggs on my case. Now, as tasty as that sounds, it's not the best for gaming. So, With a max height of about 56mm, I didn't have too many callers to play with. So after some deep soul searching, I went for the Cryorig C7G for £42. Constructed fully of copper and covered in graphene, it's a monster among low profile coolers. Cheaper options were available, but hey, I'm hoping that I can use it again on upgrade later on. Now, I'm not proud of how much I paid for my graphics card. In fact, it was probably the final nail in the coffin of what was a planned cheap build. I paid £120 for this. A second-hand 3GB Zotax GTX 1060 from 2016, a 4-year-old card. Because f*** you scalpers and crypto miners for killing the second-hand market. With happy eBay sellers and a significantly lighter wallet, it's time to build. Look out for part 2 coming soon. Stay safe, and I'll see you again next time. Take care.